to the shop. It's load testing day. I don't have the hoist or trolley that they'll be using on this, so it'll be up to them to test and verify whether or not that's okay. For now, I've just got a strap thrown over the top of the beam that is well in excess of what we're going to load test here. It's more than double rated, and it's a lifting strap anyway, so that shouldn't be an issue. If anything, the loading here should be worse than with it on the trolley, because the trolley spreads it out over a couple inches, and this is really just, you know, in a 2-inch width up there. Point load, and it's in the middle of the beam. Got my 3-ton hoist on here. I initially said I was probably going to test it at 6,000, but I'm afraid these casters won't be able to take it. They're the weak link, I'm certain, not what I've built. Casters are rated at 1,200 a piece, so I'm just going to go 5,000, which is the 25% OSHA rated overload, and we'll call it good. Show you what I got set up here. Also, I'm pulling slightly out of line. Some people are afraid this thing's going to tip over if it's too narrow. It should just roll, but I've got it chained to the building over here on this leg, because also a lot of people said they didn't think those joints up there were going to hold, and that this all just kind of collapse and fall apart. Somebody got yanking on it with the load on it, so we're going to find out about that. I've got the bolts in, and they're just snug down, which is all you need to keep it from sliding. They're reasonably tight with a hand wrench. I mean, you can get them tighter with an impact, but there's no need in all that. You just snug them up, and there you go. Somebody using hand tools, they're as tight as they're ever going to get with hand tools. Show you what I got here. So that leg is strapped at the bottom to give it the most torque leverage over to the crane post. There is nothing anywhere up supporting or bracing this thing. You can see it's got gap over in there. This is just to keep it from being able to roll so I can pull on it. So I've got it pulled over there with that strap. And we're going to start the pull with the crane out of line to show whether or not it's a tendency to flip. I'm going to lock the wheel brakes over there so it'll have to drag itself into position. And thanks to Dave Kali out of, I think it's Michigan, we've got this nice Dillon dynamometer that I'll be able to use on the big crane. It goes to 50,000 pounds. So what we're going to be looking for is over there at that 5 mark at the top. That's going to be 5,000 pounds load. So we have an actual scale measurement on this, not just a guesstimate. So let's get to testing this thing out and see what happens. So the brakes are on all 4 wheels. Now you can't see them on that side, but trust me, they're on. This is the worst case scenario. This is absolutely not how this is intended to be used. But we're going to test it for idiots. There's 1,000, 2,000, there's 3, there's 4, as you can see, we're on 4,000. We're at the rated load right now. And there's still a gap. Kind of surprised the brakes are actually holding. take it to the full 5. It's dragging the forklift forwards. That's why the load's coming off, the forklift's moving. Well, that's 6,000 right there. So you can clearly see it's sitting there holding 6. And the top beam's not bowed incredibly a lot. So while it's overloaded, let me go over here and yank my guts out on the side and see if I can bow and deflect those top posts. I can't do much. Take brakes off. I can't do nothing with it. Doesn't seem real flexy to me. Be a lever on move the world. But what I look to move is this crane. That's it. Me finally, I can't budge it. Well, I was unable to snap the nuts off or fail the thing, even prying the shit out of it. with that 4x4, with all I've got, and I'm pretty strong, so it should take anything one person can yank on it with. See, it's still sitting there at that 6,000 pound overload. The force I put in it was another 500 or 600 pounds prying on that thing with that 4x4, apparently yanking on it. But it took it, so this should be plenty for 4,000, which is what the request was. Well, I think that proves that it's plenty good enough for what it's doing. With the materials and the design construction that it is, for the sliding channels, the force out on those bolts to the inside is really not very much. The weight mostly loads down, and that has a tendency to flatten down anyway. But nevertheless, one bolt should hold all the torque that a human can generate. Even two guys, I figured for 500 pounds, and it's still like 8 times factor of safety. So I don't think you're gonna break those off unless you're doing something really stupid with it that you shouldn't be doing. And if you chain one end to something solid and hook a tractor to the other end and start pulling on it, you might could do some damage. But by hand, 2 people, they ain't gonna tear it up. So that's what this is intended for. It's a stationary crane. It's not used for picking stuff up and then rolling around. That's not how it's supposed to be used. It's supposed to be moved to the spot and then do the lift. You could do a little bit of roll around, but it's not designed to do that with. And these don't roll very well when they're loaded, so that's really not what it's used for. But I think I've shown that even prying on this thing to drag it, which I guess I can uncable it over here and see if it'll scoot, but we can take it back up to 6,000 and we'll do that. Can't really move, it's got too much weight on it. To 6,000 again, and it's definitely not being supported on the side any. See, nothing. There's the 6K. So let me yank on this thing again. I can't hardly move it. There it is, it's sitting on 6. And there's no popping or creaking or any indications that anything's really stressed. Well, for you doubters, it certainly looks adequate to do the job to me. 50% overload test, and there's no signs of stress whatsoever, nothing making any noise, there's no obvious deflections in anything. I've pried on it with a 4x4 block with the overload, and nothing's happened. So I'm gonna say that this is perfectly adequate for the job. I mean, you can overbuild till the cows come home. You know, I could brace this thing up and put cables across the top to take the loads out to the sides, and you know, I could probably get 10 ton out of this beam if I wanted to. But that's not the job requirement. These has to be 4,000 pound, 2 ton capacity, and it's well over that. Even these casters are holding up okay at a 50% overload. So the 4,000 this is designed for, rated for, should be no issues whatsoever that I can see. Like I said, unless you start taking tractors and trying to wishbone this thing, pulling it apart, just using it by hand should never really be an issue. So, in case you're wondering about the chain and this thing moving and that load coming off, it did in fact roll forwards till the point of hook was underneath of the beam. So even with a significant overload, it drug this thing to it rather than trying to offer to tip this thing up. So that means it's got good stability. These leg points are out far enough that it's got plenty of stability. It never really tried to raise up. It just drug the load with the brakes on. So I'm happy with it, and I think the customer will be too. It's met all their specifications and then some. So should last years and years. I don't see any problems. It's well built, plenty of heavy gauge material, lots of weld, and there's nothing cheap about this. It's as good as anything that you could buy on the market. Rated for the same amount, in my opinion, it's actually even better. It's got more features. There's more stuff you could certainly do to this that would make it more handy for shop use, but that was not requested by the customer. They wanted something that was cost competitive with everything else, and actually when you take the shipping into account, this is actually cheaper for them to have me build it than to buy one and have it shipped in, because shipping's not cheap on something like this, because you're looking at 800 pounds per crane, so 1,600 pounds, you know, even on a semi-truck shipping is going to cost you several $100s. So you got to add that into the cost of the units. But I see no issues here myself, and the dynamometer doesn't lie. It showed what the ratings were on this as far as loading it up, that we were well in excess of 6,000 pounds, and no problems. Everything still looks good. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, I'll catch y'all later.